welcome to Bolton Bites, our semi-regular video series where we talk about the readings for the week and hopefully offer a little bit of inspiration to your week as well. This week, we're using as our subject perhaps something a little unorthodox, and that's the movie Trainspotting. And if you've seen Trainspotting, you know that this is sort of a dark comedy about life and death of heroin addicts in Scotland. And maybe not necessarily what you would imagine coming as part of a spiritual reflection from a priest, but bear with me. Because the movie opens with these three drug addicts running through the streets of Glasgow, trying to score, trying to steal whatever they can to get high. And over that, there is the voice of Ewan McGregor, who's the main actor, saying, choose life, choose a career, choose a family, choose a big television. And he goes on and on of all the things that in his mind make up choosing life. And in the end, he says, I chose not to choose life. I chose something else. I chose heroin. And the movie depicts this downward spiral of addiction between he and his friends as they continue on that choice that ultimately leads, as we know, to death. And so the movie is this stark contrast between choosing life and choosing death, and what it means to choose death. And in the book of Deuteronomy, which we read this Sunday, we have Moses saying a strikingly similar thing, right? Where he says, choose life and prosperity or death and adversity. Choose life and prosperity or death and adversity. And this is the decision point on which Moses is saying basically the entire life of the Israelites is dependent. Every day they have this opportunity to choose life or to choose death. And there is a path to life and a path to death. And I think this is the same choice we all have every day as well. To choose life or to choose death. To choose hope and prosperity and opportunity or to choose something else. And the question for you is, what are you choosing today? Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that every day we engage with people, both online and in person, and we have the opportunity to treat them as living human beings or as characters of something else. And often, far too often, I think we create characters of what we think people who oppose us, people who think differently than us, are. And we create conflict and consternation and hate and frustration and anger around those identities, around these characters of who people are. And the more we embrace that hate, the more we push ourselves away from life, the harder it is to choose life. Now, Moses gives a pretty good example of what it is to choose life. He says to follow the commandments, to care for the poor and the needy, to put God at the center of your life. And that's all we are asked to do as well, to make those same choices. So every day, I want you to think about a way that you can choose life. How can you engage with people on a physical level, on a tactile level, and choose life? How can you engage with strangers in a relationship and a conversation? How can you break bread with someone who is hungry? How can you provide housing to the homeless, clothing for the needy, medicine for the sick? What can you do to be a part of that change, of choosing life for people who are facing imminent death? And I'm not saying you shouldn't engage online or shouldn't be part of the resistance or shouldn't be a Trumpista or shouldn't support the things that you think are important in the world. But at the end of the day, what's most important is what happens in your local community, in your small little micro neighborhood. And what can you do to choose life, to be an example for life there, to be an emissary of God's love? So friends, this week, choose life, choose prosperity, choose hope, choose opportunity, and ultimately choose God. Invite God into your life, invite God into your community, and share that love with the world. Amen.